Welcome, it's SVPod with Stanford Steve. I'm Scott Van Pelt. I was just commenting at the shorts that when I sat down, I got the Dillards on.
Old school.
Yeah, like I'm a tall...
Over the knee.
I'm a tall dude, and I'm walking around these bad... It's like a kilt. I was walking around, I was doing some trading in town, and I'm like, wow. And then once you put your keys in your phone and whatever, and then the elastic around the waist, maybe these are older, and then like the next thing you know, your ass crack's hanging out.
Yeah.
No one needs that on a Monday morning or any day. Welcome in. Hope everyone had how was Father's Day?
Great. How was work?
This guy's like Thursday night, hightails it to the beach.
Out.
Sunday, we're back Sunday. Not him.
Nope.
I was there.
We had family at the beach, so I
was there.
Extended in the weekend.
I was there for you, America. Yeah, it was fine. But I got a great gift. Shout out to wifey. You helped with this.
I think her and I are a dangerous collaboration with you.
Yeah, it's clear because, okay, so I've talked about this through the years. My grandfather called them the Whim-Whams. Now, my grandfather, shout out Lorenzo from Brooklyn, he would sit in front of the TV. This is back in the day, no internet, with a big yellow legal pad, and he'd watch the stock ticker go by, and he'd write down what the stocks were. And I'd look at him, and he'd be head bobbing. and then he'd look over at me, and he'd smile, and he'd say, Scottino, I got the Whim-Whams. So the Whim-Whams are well documented in our family. The Whim-Whams, you get sleepy.
Head gets a little heavy.
I get worse than the Whim-Whams. Like I just full on pass out.
Yeah,
a lot, everywhere. And the last week, I guess it might have been. I'm sitting there in the house, Big Red, who's like huge now. He's like a horse-sized dog. He has to sit in my lap. Like can't be near me. He must be on me, and he's a big guy. And I'm just passed out with the dog in my lap. And I guess she sent you that picture. Is that accurate?
Oh, yeah.
And then what'd you tell her?
Because when we were going to Louisville, you might have taken a little nap on the plane. And
you sent her that one.
And that was Mother's Day. So I said, this is perfect. I could give her a Mother's Day present that I know she will think is the best thing in the world. So that happens. Then last week happens, and I sent her another text saying, you got to have quite a collection, and that would be an awesome Father's Day card.
It was. I open up this gigantic sort of collage, and it's just pictures of me passed out everywhere. I mean, and I laughed, a hearty, sincere laugh of, wow, I really have fallen asleep many places. And all three of my children asleep on me, next to me. Shout out the late great Otis the dog, asleep. I'm laying on this outdoor deck in Nantucket, like just look like I passed out on a bender. And you could see Otis the dog, like if there's a thought bubble over his head, it's like, what's this fucking guy doing? Like, where are we here?
We do have to have the worst sleep pattern regulations.
Yeah, it isn't good.
It's it's just horrible.
Well, what do they call it? Third shift or whatever. We're that, but it's not. And we
got the little ones. We want to try and experience stuff when we can to get up, but like someday you can't do it.
And then you go to work at night.
Yeah.
And you're I think you do an awesome job of it. I try my best to be present, because we got our days free. We can do dad stuff that maybe some of the pops out there that are working more traditional hours can't. But it comes with a little bit of a tax. And so maybe dad falls asleep everywhere. And so
anytime.
Don't need a whole lot of runway. I never really thought of myself as being a narcoleptic, but man, apparently if I get one of my kids, like, a weighted blanket.
Yeah.
Well, Red is a good weighted blanket, and my kids on my chest when they were younger, good weighted blanket. And so I pass out.
Also, too, as you get older, you know exactly the position you could fall asleep in.
Any.
That's good. Any. And also, as you get older, it multiplies a lot.
Right. Right. Like you don't become. I can only sleep on my left side, my right side, my stomach, my back. Not me, Jack. Anywhere, as evidenced by that. So we're down at the beach. Got some Sandy Pony donuts, got a great card, got some great stuff from my kids, and
we got a night out Friday? You came on up
How about it?
for the worst NBA game in the history.
By the time we got there,
Good Lord.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. Yeah, but no, you're heckling me saying you won't do it. You didn't think I was coming.
I just wanted to put pressure on you. I know the words that tweak you.
There was no need for that. I was coming. I was heading north, and shout out Coach Williams, Gary Williams in the building. Funny, a coach, and he admits as much. He's like, when you coach in a sport where it's one and done, like you just have no ability to comprehend how could you possibly lose a game like this?
Yeah,
it's just wild. And I mean, obviously he's different. He's a Hall of Famer, but on the college level, which like you just can't be down 115 to 67.
No, he only knows one and done.
Correct. That's it. He comes in, guns blazing, story time. That was good fun. Father's Day also means U.S. Opens.
Yes.
Let's start there.
Please.
There's a lot here. I was preparing as I'm compiling here, thinking we're going to get to talk to the champion. And when Rory's 8 and Bryson's 6, after Rory's birdie
for about
a minute.
Yeah, like it was that fast.
Well, Rory birdied 4 out of 5, and he's got a 2-stroke lead. However, it's kind of like at Augusta, if I've played 13 and you haven't, of course, the famed par 5, especially Bryson, let's use him in this analogy, you're making birdie on that hole.
Yeah.
So I'm up 2, but not really, because Bryson's probably going to birdie 13, and he drives that par 4, perfect drive, makes 2-putt, makes birdie. But I'm thinking in my head, through the years, I've seen plenty of majors that are lost more than one.
Mm-hmm.
And the way Rory's playing on Sunday, so many close calls, so many top 10s, hasn't won in a decade plus. We all understand that. I'm thinking this one was won. And then it was lost.
Mm-hmm.
He bogeys 3 of the last 4, 2 excruciating short misses on 16 and 18 that'll be talked about forever. And then he didn't talk about it at all, which we can talk about. So he helped hand it to DeChambeau. So was this tournament lost? To a degree, but DeChambeau has to get up and down on the 18th hole.
Yeah, I still think it's won. From what he did.
If we're putting it on a scale, I say more won than lost, even though clearly the only way Bryson can win it is if Rory opens the door, which he did. But Andy, who's won it twice himself, said last night, that's a top 10
He says
shot.
the all-timer.
Well, DeChambeau said, anybody that's looking at it saying this is one of the all-time moments to win the national championship. Now, there's a little recency bias. We tend to freak out in the moment. But because this was a famed golf course on a hot, difficult, challenging day with 2 absolute superstars going toe-to-toe, it gets magnified.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot here. I don't know where for you.
Let's start with Bryson.
Where do you start?
Let's start with Bryson. I start with Bryson because I'm looking at it Saturday night. I'm like, all right, he's going to be a big favorite. He's up 3. And I'm going on these sites. He's only minus 125. I'm hammering that thing. Hammering it. I'm like, there's no,
double hammer? Gordo.
We'll get that.
Okay.
But I'm like, I don't see it. I know, I'm listening to everybody. I was driving back, so I had, before they got teed off, I think I got the first 3 holes on the radio, and they make the idea of how Bryson changed the driver head, 15 minutes before he's going to play Sunday of a major. I'm like, okay, that's, if anybody could do it, it's him. But then you start watching him. He can't hit a fairway to get, and he's getting, and Bones is following him around, and he's like, yeah, he does have a good lie, though, out of the native area? Area.
He was in the native area.
He lived in the native area.
And he kept
and he got out. And he made, he missed one on that, he only had 1 bogey, no birdies on the front. And he misses the shorty. He missed the shorty one later. But the way he was able to battle, I thought was really, really impressive. But his game makes up for all that. And that's what he has that no one else has. And I thought it was just, you saw how, he's a little in the camera too much for me. And that's what he wants to do. I guess it's been part of his change. You talked about his change. They talk about the maturity. But, that thing. But his game has always had everything he has to get out of trouble, and he needed every single ounce of it, and he just stayed in the fight. And then when he got to, what'd you think about them changing that to make it a drivable par 4 on Sunday? Does that normally happen?
They normally do it on Saturday. You normally make it a Saturday thing. Look, you still have to pull off the shot.
Yeah. No, I just thought for the mindset of a Sunday, and you saying it's usually on Saturday.
Typically,
I thought that was an original thought. No, but like 18. I mean, you see him go right off the tee. He's bent over underneath a tree. He's got to get over. He goes right into the bunker. But like I said, I didn't think he was in that much trouble because his game has everything, and he was in it. And then Rory does what he does. I thought there was you could feel this thing building. You talk about two superstars, about how Rory was waiting for him to shoot when they could see each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like all that was tied in. And Bryson responded, and Rory didn't. And you got to give him all the credit in the world for what he did and how he did it. And I do look at, he's got 2. I look at him differently because it was COVID. There were no fans, but for him to do that, you got to give him nothing but respect. I mean, they showed the video of that. What was Wingfoot? He's walking up 18. He's going to win. It's like.
Yeah,
that's just different. But then
bizarre time.
We get another conversation for COVID titles later on. But no, like I said, I'm not a Bryson guy, but I give him all the credit, man. He dug it out and went and did it. That shot was incredible.
Big balls.
Yeah.
And there's a lot with him that is really interesting to me, and I noticed it, and I'm glad I got to talk to him about it on SportsCenter on Sunday night, that when he came to the Butler cabin on Thursday and Friday at the Masters, because he played really well there, I was immediately just struck by the energy and the vibe around the dude. It felt totally different. He felt so much more comfortable, so much less, look, it was a lot there for a bit, all right? It's all the math, all the numbers. Hey, I eat a shit ton of bacon and steak and protein shakes, and I do a lot of curls, and I look like super swole to the point that I'm actually also like, do you look good? Not really. You just look real extra beefy. Hey, my swing speed's 200 miles an hour. Par for me at Augusta 67. Like, hold on, man. Enough.
Yeah.
Like, you never won there. That for me was the one where you don't need to be talking almost sort of condescendingly about a place that's pretty revered that you haven't played well at all. And at that point he hadn't. He's played better since. But I was just like, he was a lot.
Yeah.
But it felt performative, and it felt like he was just like, he wanted attention, and he was getting it, and he was getting it the way he was getting it. So he was like, well, I'll just keep doing all this. And then he said, look, he hit rock bottom. He lost his dad. And we know what that's like, man. It's a ton to navigate. And people talk about live and the money and all this. Fine, that's part of it. But he found a group and a team. And I think that's been a big thing for him, to have people. Like, this is an individual sport. We talk about this all the time. You don't have anybody. You don't have teammates. Well, he's got his live teammates, and they've got his back. He's got theirs. I think he's learned from them. There was an Alan Shipnuck article talking about how Charles Howell, one of his teammates, helped him with this very specific bunker shot that he hit. All what I'm talking about is just that I think we're all allowed to mature. We're all allowed to get better. Hopefully that never stops for any of us. And I just felt like he was in a completely different headspace when I talked to him at the Masters. So much so that I told everybody, I said, you know what? He just feels different, man. Good for him.
Yeah.
Feels like he's turned a corner. Feels like he's more comfortable in his own skin. He goes 6th there, almost wins Valhalla, and he wins this. Now, Scheffler has played better than anybody, and with Liv, there's not as much of a consistency of the schedule, but what matters most in golf is the majors. We all understand that. We're not the smartest guys. Math's not our strength. 6-2-1, that adds up to 9. Divide by 3. He averages a 3rd-place finish in the majors. That's the best of anybody. No one's playing better in these big events than him. He just won this title. And he's a monster star, and people were rooting for him in a big, big way in North Carolina. And he said that they were the wind in his sails. And I feel like you see, everyone's talked about it, this 180 for the guy. it's noticeable to me. It's clear he is a massive star in this sport, and him winning this, here's the thing about majors. One's a lot because they're hard, but two's a lot more than one one. That's the Bill Pito line about kids.
Yeah.
When you win that second, now it's like, all right. And to do it how he did it, after he almost did it at Valhalla, like this, it's a big, big deal for him. And he's got all the talent in the world. And it feels like a monster year for him to take this step forward now. And now what does he do? I don't know. Because he told me, hey, I got to go just shoot a YouTube video on Tuesday. And I laughed. I'm like, gotta get that content, sure. And that's the world we live in. And that's been big for him as well. So I just think there's a lot of layers to coming out of the other side of that time when he was really good, but felt like it was sort of Haley's Comet. It was blazing too fast and then losing your pop. And he called it rock bottom. And he said he's got great people around him. And it's all evident.
I just look at the bigger picture too, though, Scott. When you look at what he did for the live people, there's a lot there. Like, you look, Rahm's home with his foot up watching it. He's got an infection. He was the biggest name to go. Cam Smith, after winning and going, he hasn't looked like the same guy in majors here.
Yep.
Brooks does his thing.
Started well, didn't finish well.
Whether they like him or not, I think it's a monstrous win for that because, like, at the end, you see Sergio going. Like, I thought Sergio and Rory were boys forever.
Yeah.
And, like, you just see this thing turning, and it's the live and that. And
I think, though, I don't feel that because it's pretty clear that we're going to get some sort of we're going to figure it out.
Yep.
I mean, that whole battle lines bit's dead. And the irony, of course, is that Rory was the guy that the PGA Tour put out in front. And this year, Rory's like, what are you going to do? I was a little harsh there. And, I don't feel like it's nearly the live PGA thing that it was. But for those that kind of relish that idea, you couldn't ask for a bigger deal because you couldn't ask for the face of who was the guy representing the PGA Tour, who's Rory, and then Bryson, who's right now. Like, look, you're right. He right now in terms of who's playing the best from live, by far it's DeChambeau.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying that those guys on the other side are like, hey man, like we talk about. I mean, there's odds out there, live versus non-live to win the majors.
Yep.
Like. That was it. It happened, and I thought in the totality, they were playing less tournaments. They weren't playing real tournaments. How much are they working on their craft and on their game? He's been the exception.
Well, he got a bunch.
And they're all going to benefit from it. So
yeah, it's interesting.
I just wonder about the feelings in the totality of live with him compared to everything else.
It was clear he was a guy that they were rooting for. But Rory's got a massive, massive following as well. There were huge roars for Rory as it looked like he might win. It would have been a very popular win had he won. He didn't. Because of how he didn't, to see him leave without talking was noticeable. And it'll be remembered. I talked about it on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
That Phil hit it off a beer tent on the 72nd hole at Winged Foot. Maddest I ever saw Andy North. And he was mad just because I think he felt Phil should have won, and he was too talented to not make a better tactical decision in that moment. And he hit his driver off a tent and made double, the one thing he couldn't do, and he lost by a shot. And what did he do afterwards? He stood there and he said, "I'm such an idiot."
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to, but he said he ate it. Norman famously melted over 5 hours. The tournament he was destined to win, and he was finally going to win. And not just when he was going to win in a rout, he was up 5. And he melts over the course of a day against Faldo. Had to be excruciating. And when it was done, he smiled, and he answered the questions in the darkness it was a different media center set up back then. But that, I'll never forget.
Yeah, he's under the tree.
Correct. I'll never forget just him. And I admired... say courage and you go, eye roll, I get it. Not brave like firemen and policemen and people and servicemen. No. But there's a certain amount of, this is going to suck. But I got to stand here and I got to, all right, go ahead. What happened? I don't know, man. How'd you miss those putts? I don't know. But Rory's been so great. He's been such a front and center dude his entire career. He's one of my favorite people to talk to because he's interesting, he's thoughtful, he's bright. And this is a really bitter moment, and I get not wanting to do it, but he walked out and he left, and people are going to remember that, which turns into, of course, you get the Twitter people. They don't owe you anything. Shut up. Shut up. I'm not saying he owes it to himself and the profession because it's part of it. It doesn't owe me. It's notable that in this moment that he left. And it speaks to how wounded I totally understand that he is. And I can't imagine, does this mean he can't win? Man, he shot $1 billion on the second night at Augusta when he looked like he might win, and he came to Congressional in the next major and he won. Mm-hmm. So could he go to Troon and win? Of course. I don't know, and that's not the purpose of this conversation. I just think that that's the kind of loss and then reaction to the loss that always gets brought up when you're talked about.
When you lose, and especially in that sport, and you mentioned the instances, that's what I thought. Watching the Norman documentary and hearing him talk about it, but he always went to the press conference after, and you could see how good it is. And I have my own theory on this, but we're living in a day and age where people are struggling with mental whatever.
Yep.
I think that's part of the process you have to do. You have to let it out. You have to let it out in those circumstances because that's part of it. You can't, you talk about it all the time when there's a controversy nowadays when somebody does it. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it.
And then we let enough time pass that we can say we're not talking about the past, we're looking forward, and then you manage to not talk about it.
There you go. That's not good for the soul. I don't care what anyone says.
That's really interesting, yeah.
I've always thought that, I've always tried to, when you lose, be the first person in the handshake line after. It's part of the process, and to see him get out of there. And
who was the dude that met Schauffele after he made birdie on 18?
Bryson. Yep. Yeah, I mean, give it to him. It's part of the deal, and I think Bryson realized that, like, hey, I gave it my best, but I got to go say what's up to this guy because he just took it, and he won it.
Yeah,
he won it,
And you could, in the exact same way that Schauffele had to get up and down on 18, in that case for birdie, to win, he did, and DeChambeau went and gave him his props.
Yep.
And in this case, Bryson's the guy that's got to get up and down from a bunker no one got up and down from all week. He did it, and it was different. Bryson birdied 18 to post 20.
Yeah.
And Rory, of course, bogeys. And, he's a guy that's, again, he's a thinker. And
that's what I said. You said last night on the show, I thought he was one of the best thinkers you ever.
Yeah, I admire.
He didn't think this one out. It's a bad one.
It is. 16, I have no idea what happened. 18 was a really hard putt. It's short on television. It looks like nothing, but it's
downhill.
It's downhill left to right, and you have to. And I say this as if I've done it, but obviously I haven't in this stage. But to try to convince yourself you can hit it outside the hole on a putt that short and just let gravity take over, and he didn't.
That's why I wanted Wagner to go do that putt instead of the shot for Bryson.
How cool was that when he did the bunker shot with Bryson?
I went back. I've watched it a couple of times. Bryson really doesn't tell him to do anything. It
doesn't matter. It's the fact that he's holding the U.S. Open trophy in the dark with Wagner, and he hits that, and as soon as he hits it, the good one, what does he say? He said, "Oh, I chunked it."
And Bryson was like, "Good,
chunk
that's what you're supposed to do." Yeah.
Did DeChambeau hit it 30 yards? He said, "I knew I had to hit it 30 yards." It was great theater, and in the way that this sport, week to week, is, we consume it, we enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for everybody, but it captivates your attention, and it really captivates your attention when it's superstars playing great, which both did for moments, having to scramble, which both had to do a lot, and then ultimately when you end up with a moment of how did he miss and a moment of remarkable achievement. Like all of that is cooked into this casserole at Pinehurst. And it was, I've covered the sport my entire career in this business. People forget stuff over time. I was at Pinehurst when Retief Goosen had the lead, and he was absolutely going to win. You know what he shot on Sunday? You don't know, but I do because I was there. 81.
That wasn't. I thought that was when Andy was the maddest.
Goosen? No. No. He was mad at Goosen, and that was Southern Hills. Different deal. There was a putt that was missed. There was an appearance that was to be made Monday. I think Goosen still owes North 5 figures. We'll let them talk about it. Goosen shot 81. He was playing, I think, with Jason Gore. They both shot $1 billion in the final group on a Sunday at the U.S. Open. Like, stuff happens, and it drifts off into the ether, But this one is memorable.
Oh, no doubt, man. The way it happened, and because did you go on a pod Thursday?
Yeah, no
night?
laying up. No laying up.
Didn't like the course.
I don't like the greens.
Okay.
How'd that work out on the 5th hole for Rory? Like, hit what looked like it was going to be an awesome shot, maybe a chance at eagle, ends up rolling the other way, makes bogey. As they pointed out, Sally pointed out, it's the easiest hole on the course. It is the easiest hole on the course. Don't love the greens. I feel like there's got to be some choice between punishment and perfect. Feels like there should be something. But on balance, in terms of a stage for a major and drama, I mean, Pinehurst number 2 is a massive winner as well. And so I'm not going to sit here and say I felt like I'm wrong about the greens. I still think that they're a little bit of not my favorite.
There you go. You don't like them.
I don't.
It's fine.
I don't. But do I like the venue? Is it a great test? Yes. You want a stage that gives people, that tests players. This did, and ultimately identifies great players. It did. That's what a major's supposed to do.
Gordo's guy, Clandon, the amateur.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see what happened to him on 18?
I didn't.
He had a birdie putt, probably a 6-footer from the side, to tie Shipley for lowest amateur. Missed it coming back.
That happened.
It was. I fell for that dude.
Can we give Gordo? Can we want to give Gordo a shout?
Absolutely.
Double hammer. Came on, called it a legacy play, gave you top 40 Henley Morikawa.
We heckled as much as you can. Parlay as a double hammer. Winner.
Awesome. Gordo, way to go. Do just want to mention had a prop on somebody to miss the cut who won the tournament.
You got to do it in U.S. Opens. You got to do it. And
I'm just saying we're going to give the credit for that legacy play because the double hammer is ultimately how we're going to grade Gordo, win or lose. You did have a guy to miss the cut who won the tournament. That's just kind of fun.
US Open.
He also had an FRL, a piece of an FRL.
Yeah, Rory.
Rory was hoping to be a LRL, last round leader.
There you go.
That's rough, man.
Gotta love the golf majors. Good God, they're good.
They are awesome. We got game 5s in both playoffs.
Sweet.
I don't know how to frame this other than to say in the history of the Stanley Cup and the NBA, it's rare that you have both go 3-0, but it's unprecedented that you have 115-67 was the score. You and I are sitting in Dewey Beach. Shout out to our guy Monty. We're in a joint called Raw.
Fantastic.
We're watching some hoops, but not really because by the time I got there, that game was done. Then Saturday Stanley Cup, Edmonton 8-1 winners. In the history of you're not sweeping us in our building, maybe it's a gentleman's sweep. I don't know. Or maybe were these results enough for you as we sit here on a Monday with game 5s coming to entertain the thought that the door is cracked open? Because it ain't for me.
No?
No.
Okay.
It was a game. The game.
But if Edmonton goes to Florida,
sure.
Can you imagine if people got to do that flight again?
That's the part. I don't think Edmonton wants to fly back. I guess they got to fly back home to get their stuff and, whatever. But I can't imagine the traversing.
Levy probably wants to get back to Edmonton.
I don't know, man. Levy's a high thread count kind of guy, man.
I don't know how he does it on airplanes too, because they're not the coldest places, and he needs an ice box.
He does. Hey, can we turn the AC down to 40? I'm sweating like an animal over here. Look, Dallas. I mean, I just don't think either team. Neither one of them is winning 4 games in a row.
All right.
There's just no need to convince.
One game at a time.
Well, that's true. That much is true. Because all you can do, if you're Dallas, all you can do on Monday nights, win Game 5.
That's it.
I saw Simmons and Russillo on internet. Simmons is nervous, but I think any fan,
no doubt,
if you're a Boston
you want
fan,
it done,
or if you're a Florida fan, and it's different because Florida's never done it, and Boston's trying to do it for their 18th time. You get nervous just because you're like, well, shit, that wasn't just they beat us; they beat the crap out of us, and you start asking yourself, well, is there some residual to that carries over? I have to believe Boston. I said this on SportsCenter Sunday night. Great, well done. I think Boston. Cue the duck boats tonight.
Okay.
You don't?
I don't know about tonight, but eventually.
I think Jason Tatum.
The hockey could get weird.
All right.
That's what they have way more of a shot than
Knobloch after Game 3 said.
Knobber?
Nobsy, I think he said, we've proven we could beat him. And I thought, no, you haven't. You played 3 games and you've won 0. You haven't. You understand how this works, right? If you want to prove you can beat him, you got to beat him. They hadn't done that. Well, now they have, and emphatically. And I don't know game to game. That sports. Look, we feel like I always do this, but not knowing it even a little bit, I'm such a observer through the glass. It's something I don't understand. I don't know if winning that way, now, just you get Bob doubting himself. I don't know. Bobrovsky's been incredible. I doubt it. I doubt that now suddenly there's nerves. But this offense they'd only scored a couple goals these first 3.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you get 8. It's like a guy shooter.
Saved a couple.
But it's like a shooter, right? You see the ball go in the net or through the net. Now you see a puck go in the net. I don't have the slightest idea.
I'm just glad we get one more show at Legs at least.
I'm psyched we get another show for each. I'm excited.
Windhorst?
How about Windy? My man.
Hey, somebody woke him up. Right?
I believe Mavericks, the words you're looking for is thank you. You guys are coming at Windhorst as if what he said didn't have merit. I said the exact same thing about Doncic on the pod. That if somebody wanted to do him a great service, and maybe they've done it, you just take games and put together a mixtape of sorts of him eyeballing refs, making that face, complaining constantly, and just ask him, do you think that this benefits you or us? Because let me help you out here. It doesn't at all. Hurts us. And Doncic was awesome in Game 4. Doncic been pretty good. Otherwise, defensively, I believe the term Windhorst used was a hole.
And they're attacking.
And
where are the winners?
Winners are over there. I mean, look, you know what I give Windhorst credit for is that he said the part that he thought. A lot of times people will temper it, and he's not performative. He's not a hot take guy. He's not doing it for any.
No, not at all.
He's doing it because that's what he thinks. And then again, social media being social media turns into you're LeBron's this, or they turn it into his physical. Shut up. The thing I don't like, and this happens. We'll go back a little bit to DeChambeau. Is people talk about haters criticism is criticism, and it comes with the territory, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be critical of Doncic for complaining to the officials or being bad on defense, that's not being a hater. That's critical, a critical assessment of something that is warranted.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to a guy like DeChambeau. If I didn't love all the stuff,
I said I'm not a fan, but I give that guy all the credit in the world.
There
for
you
winning.
go. And see the haters.
He's awesome. I don't have to like him though.
You're right.
Right.
But this is what happens. Criticism that's warranted is criticism. But people that try to act like if you're critical, you're a hater. No. If in the face of high achievement, you still want to find reasons to pick people apart, then I think you're just being a hater. I don't think you're doing that there. And I don't think people, the whole Chambly, DeChambeau thing, because Chambly's been such a And he's obliterated the idea of live and this and that and the other thing. And he talked about that DeChambeau was lucky. He did get the benefit of hitting it into the native area time and time again and having lies. That it was going to be pot luck. It was always going to be pot luck in there. So pointing out that you didn't end up in a bush, that's not being a hater. That's what happened.
Yeah.
But if you want to try to minimize it or find reasons to not give the credit, then you're being a hater. Yeah. Windhorst wasn't being a hater about Doncic.
What's worse, those people or the people that say you hate your team because you picked against them?
Those people. Everybody's just got to be, they got to do their thing and be mad about everything. Speaking of being mad, Florida State people are mad at College World Series. Tennessee's great. They're a wagon. I thought that was strike 3. I don't think it was a check swing strike 3. No. I thought the pitch was a strike.
Yep. But, again, give Florida State credit. Got up off the mat, took it to UVA yesterday. And they're still in. You're fine.
Well, they're fine for now. We're talking on a Monday afternoon. They play Carolina on a Monday afternoon. Yep. So by the time this comes out, we'll know one way or another if Carolina or Florida State survives. But you're right. Stay in the fight.
That's it.
You're going to have shit's going to happen in life. How do you react to it?
No doubt.
How do you react to it? What did I have for you?
How's the beach?
I got something for parents out there. I want you guys to think about something. It's summertime, right? We're all in that spot now where if your kids don't have camp, there's a whole lot of, what are we going to do? There's nothing to do. And I'll say, there's nothing to do? I used to hit rocks with an aluminum bat. We would play outside with a fucking frisbee. For a day, we'd invent a game. We figured it out. There's nothing to do. If you're anywhere near water, particularly a beach, there's something that's undefeated against children. Waves.
Oh.
Waves are undefeated against children. You were at the beach.
Oh.
I was at the beach. I came back to work. He did not. There was a picture that came from the back of the Coughlin mobile coming back from the beach. 3 wide, 3 girls. How many were awake, Steve?
Not one.
How many were so deep in slumber that you could have run into a tractor trailer and they still would have been asleep?
I got the golf on, so it's quiet. Actually, great job to those people on Sirius. It's like I'm in traffic. I want to fight, and it's a calming sense. It was very good. Those guys are awesome, and gals. And I was so into it. I was like, I looked at my wife. She might have nodded off. I'm not going to go there, which is fine.
I never would.
Like, if I'm not driving, I wish I could sleep in a car. But, little ones behind me in the car sawing wood like you wouldn't. I'm like, she's snoring. I'm like, it's 12:45.
But that's
keep sleeping, please.
Yeah, that's because they.
But Scott, 10, probably got to the 10 a.m. Friday, got back to the hotel at 3. They never got out, and I'll tell you, it wasn't warm.
It was upper 60s.
It was cold.
Upper 60s, and yeah, it was cold. Your boy, I put the feet in, but no siree. But my children immediately in the water, and good waves.
Really good. Saturday was actually better than Friday.
Saturday we some of us didn't get there in time for Friday waves because we didn't go Thursday night.
Saturday were monstrous.
Monster wave Saturday, and I come home from work last night, and normally I'll always go into each kid's room and give them a little what's up, and normally there's a little bit of a wake up. My children were sleeping in such a comatose state where it was like they had the REM sleep going, their hair was matted, sweating like pigs because they were they were completely toast.
Yeah.
And I was on the drive earlier to get back home, again, because some of us worked, And the wife and the kids came a bit later, and I got a picture just of one of mine, but my youngest immediately, the minute the car started driving, done.
Down.
Left it all on the field, left it all on the beach, left it all in the ocean. So if you're looking for something and you're trying to doing a little of that mental gymnastics, what do we got out there? What is it I can do that can defeat my kids? Waves versus kids, undefeated.
Also, if you have, I don't care what kind of ball. You know, we got a lot of use out of this week.
Mm.
You know the Velcro tennis ball with the Velcro.
Love that.
Hours.
Really?
I went in the water because I just, hey, I bet you can't catch this one. And you just throw it in there a wave, and they get debacled. And then they get right up, like, give me again.
Nice.
Hour and a half, easy. Arm a little sore.
We're getting
Saturday.
We're getting to that point with the wing.
Looking for the old pitch and ice sleeve.
There's only so many bullets in the wing at this point. My little guy and I, we were going pickleball, just back and forth, trying to see what was the most we could get. Now he's little,
Yeah.
but like, what do you think? What do you think the number was for the Daddy? We got to set the record. How many times could we hit it back and forth to each other?
20.
I wish it were that high.
Okay.
We couldn't get to.
All right, now you got a goal.
We got to 14. What I realized was this: there's really one spot that
you could get. Yep.
There's one spot that's his sweet spot, and that's low forehand. You go backhand, and it's tricky.
Got to keep it on that side.
And then look, Dad,
help the kid out.
Dad didn't do the best job of putting it in the sweet spot. There was plenty of these.
I'm saying it's on you.
I agree. It's on me to put it where he can hit it. But we did lots of that. And shout to the Bethany Beach patrol there, the lifeguards.
Yeah?
Yeah, they said I got to own this one. They said they loved the pod where I talked about the protocol about,
Oh, yeah.
you can't just come down there and claim spots, and then you can't claim the beach, the ocean front, and then when the tide comes in. Took a look at the board, saw 67 was the temperature. I'm like, oof, that's a little chilly. High tide 4 p.m. We're good. Tide's not going to get to us for a while. Plop the chairs down right there, ocean front. I didn't know we were going to be there all day. Here comes the tide. You get that one rogue wave that comes
just
in.
One. All it takes is one.
Your flip-flops are a block away. Shit's everywhere. Guess who had to go back up into the people?
Oh.
Now, I'll say this. It was not crowded.
No.
Amazingly not crowded. And so the people who had all the beach to choose from and came and sat directly in back of us right there, oceanfront, when we got to back up into you, you could have given us a little wiggle room.
I don't know.
That was on me. That's hand up.
That's on you.
Hand up. Got to be better. Got credit from the lifeguards for the pod, and then the tide came in, and I was the guy backing up into the people behind us, which I said you can't be the guy doing that. And one day in, I was the guy doing that.
Yeah, I might have to write that weekend down because, like you said, less crowded than normal, which was fantastic. No really waits for restaurants,
and it was as good a weather as we could have.
Oh,
good weather as we could have. Which, speaking of, something I hate.
Oh boy,
heat waves. Now they're different everywhere. Like there's places around. Like
you gotta be careful because people are gonna laugh at our heat wave.
Here's the thing we got here that's different. Like there's places out, like, and I've seen out in California. And look, Phoenix is different. We get it. Like mid-teens, but it's a dry heat, right? So's an oven. I wouldn't put my head in it. But what you get here, that's a magnifier, is the humidity, and it's like an urban. You get upper 90s, urban heat, humidity combo, concrete, things of that nature. I think the older I get, I need things to be just a certain temperature, which makes me always wonder, why didn't I ever just decide, hey, you know what I'm going to do? Live in San Diego.
Yeah.
Every time I go to San Diego for an event, go to Torrey Pines.
Fly right in.
When you land,
that airport is stupid.
And you get out and you walk around and immediately, not later, immediately, I would think, why don't I live here? There's nothing that prevents me from living here other than, I suppose, you got to buy a house, and I get that it's expensive, taxes. Stop talking. It's perfect there every day. Every day is perfect in San Diego.
It's so nice. They lost an NFL team, and they don't even care.
Don't care.
They don't.
Go Chargers, go.
It's ridiculous how nice that place is. Oh, man. I always said when I was little, like the NCAA, I wish they would build a venue and have like the Final Four, women's, men's there, have the football game there, San Diego. Every event, San Diego.
It's far away from a lot of stuff, though.
So what? It's worth it when you get there.
Well said.
Careful with that ocean. Kids aren't ready for that one.
No, Waves undefeated against kids.
So you only went feet in.
Never went in. Never. And then you get that one wave that'll blast you, and you get that shot of like you get your back and get your butt cracking. Like, woo, that's chilly. I mean, you gotta just do that thing where you run as fast as you can, and you're half stumbling the whole way, and then you dive because you think there's deep water and it's 1.5 feet, and you sort of skim across the bottom and you scrape your gut. And you get up, you're like, I'm fine. And it hurts like shit, but you can't act like it hurts.
You can't feel it because it's so cold.
Right. Your body's numb. But then you look down and you're bleeding from all the shell scratches. But that's got to be the move.
Are your kids the Planet Ice fans?
I don't know what that is.
The Italian ice that drives on the beach.
I don't think they do that.
Oh,
on
they don't
beach.
do that, Bethany.
If they did, they would be fans of it. I promise. My kids, if they've proven one lane that they live in, it's the treat lane. They like the treats.
There's a buildup that the kids get from the Italian ice with sand.
Oh, that's nice.
I would put it up there with tar. That's how nasty it is.
Oh, so
like
you got
trying to scrub it. Like, you got ice cream on your face, but it's the Italian ice.
Plus sand.
Plus it's tar. Like trying to scrub that off the kids. And then I just want to go right to the pool after. So pool helps a little bit. Doesn't help with the tar, though.
Understood. Happy Father's Day. You got anything on the way out?
I don't think so. We're winding down.
Got the show countdown on the board.
Where are we at? 9?
Well, I think we're at 8-ish. So that got this week and a couple next, and then we are out the door. We'll still be banging out a few of these. I think we're going to be fairly steady for this.
All right.
Over summertime. But in the meantime, in between time, enjoy however much is left of the finals.
House.
Getting there by the end of the month. Should be back. And then we'll should have home studio by mid-July.
Whoa.
Ish. Got to give yourself some grace. Give yourself some wiggle room.
You're not in charge.
Hey, but we got a great spot here. Thanks to our friends at Podville for taking us in, giving us a very, very...
Almost had the 2 older ones come, but I said no.
No, we can't have that. We got dogs out here running around. It'll be mayhem.
Where's the treats?
Shout out. What's it called? Ice? What is it?
Planet Ice?
Planet Ice. Shout out to Planet Ice. Have a great week, everybody.